Now, I'm going to start off this video by saying that I don't watch too much Devils hockey. Now, don't get me wrong, once in a while they do pop up here on Sportsnet in Vancouver, which is really weird because the NHL's entire distribution of hockey games has been so all over the place here in Canada that once in a while when there's an early Ottawa-Montreal game going on, because of the regional blackouts, Sportsnet Pacific would rather be showing off Philadelphia, New Jersey, or Boston, Pittsburgh, or whatever instead, because of course that's what fans in Vancouver would want to see in comparison to their division rivals going out there and battling it out. But aside from my own personal gripes on the NHL's distribution of games, hey, the Devils, I've been watching a little bit, but not all too much. Once in a while though, hey, if they're on, if I'm eating lunch or whatever, if I'm playing video games or something, let's just have the game on in the background, see how Quinn Hughes' younger brother is doing. However, if you take a look at the NHL standings, you see the New Jersey Devils are indeed second last in the East Division. They're 10 points back behind the Flyers, they're 8 points ahead of the Sabres. They're not really all too great this year in terms of the overall record, but I think there's a lot of reason to be hopeful for the New Jersey Devils, and a lot of fans who have been watching this team religiously this season, some of whom have actually been quite upset with how they're performing. I get that. The losses, they pile up for sure. But there still is that added element of what exactly the best version of this team could be. The Devils, at the end of the day, they're a young squad, and so the fact that they're not in the playoffs isn't really that big of a deal, because you can just wait a little bit for some of these guys to become better. And in fact, the way the New Jersey Devils have been playing, with the way that some of these young guys have stepped up, and the way that this overall roster is assembled, it actually blows my mind how underrated and how honestly pretty deep this team is on paper in terms of its offensive production. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up here on the channel today is because I saw this post on the New Jersey Devils subreddit. What this user did, Hockey647, was they made a post talking about the different point production outputs for the players on the New Jersey Devils this season. And they adjusted these outputs for an 82-game season. Now, it's not really that big of a deal what this person did. They just took the current New Jersey Devils stat sheet and multiplied everything out to equal 82 games. The way things are right now for the Devils, Pavel Zacha is leading the team with 31 points in 45 games. Jack Hughes has 29 and 51. Sharangovich is over here with 28, tied with Jesper Bratt. We have ourselves a whole bunch of scoring going on for the Devils in terms of the point production. And if you do all the mathematics and you multiply things out to get an 82-game pace, the results are honestly really surprising in my opinion. Now, I will say this before we get into the actual numbers. Just because you do the math and you multiply everything out does not guarantee a thing. Players can go hot, players can go cold, players can have good months, players can have terrible months. Just because you do the mathematics does not guarantee anything about a player's overall progression, how you should define their talent, and how exactly you can assess a team. Because obviously, if you just do the math, you say, okay, Jack Hughes, this amount of points multiplied by this amount of games to 82. That's a very static way of looking about it. Jack Hughes is not guaranteed to get that in an 82-game pace. It's just the mathematical formulas behind it. So even though these numbers, I think, are so impressive, take a grain of salt with this one, because even though the numbers are great, it's not guaranteed, and this is just abstract, it's not real, it's hypothetical, so yeah. There's the disclaimer right there. I don't want to see anybody go in the comments and talk to me about how ridiculous this video topic is. So, without further ado, let's check out Hockey647's graph, where he posts the points by players adjusted for an 82-game season. If you take all the games and all the points and you multiply it out, over an 82-game season you have Pavel Zacha leading the team in points with 56 and 24 goals. Really, really nice for that former 2015 top 10 bust. We already made a video talking about Pavel Zacha, by the way, how this guy has absolutely become the best version of himself the Devils have ever seen. I, for one, am very happy to see that, because as a guy who was a big fan of the 2015 draft, Zacha was the only sore thumb in that top 10 that hadn't evolved into a very capable number one point producer. The way things are going with New Jersey this year, he could be that if you do the math. Tied with him, however, is Jesper Bratt, with an 82-game pace of 56 points and 42 assists. Oof, my goodness. Half an assist a game. What an underrated playmaker Jesper Bratt is. Crazy right there. Things get a little bit crazy, though, because you take a look at the next guys. Yegor Sharangovich over here, 25 goals he's on pace for over 82 games, 47 points, tied with Jack Hughes, who's also on pace for the same amount of production. Jack Hughes, by the way, 19 years old, not a big deal. Then you have Travis Zajac, of course, the veterans over here coming out here. He's not on the team anymore, but you get what I mean. Same with Kyle Palmieri, he's also on this list. But right in between these two, Jan Kuokkanen, 44 points, 82 games played. Not bad for one of the extra pieces you guys got in that Sami Vatanen trade a year ago. He's been one of the bright spots here for the New Jersey Devils in terms of just what he has been able to do so far. He's finally been given a chance here at the NHL full-time, and he's taken full advantage of it. 24 points in 45 games played in the regular season without the point-adjusted numbers right here. And then you take a look at some of the other numbers. Will Butcher's got 18 games played this season, but if you do the math, over 82, he's on pace for 41 points. Half a point a game defenseman? Not bad. We've noted how Will Butcher in the past has been a victim of just very unfortunate circumstances that didn't allow him to blossom into the guy that people thought he would be back when he was one of the best players in college. However, with a limited sample size this year, his overall 82-game pace is 41 points. Again, it's abstract, so it's not going to be super stable if he does play 82 games. Injuries are obviously a factor, but if you do the math on this, hey, that works out pretty well. And then the more interesting parts come about, because you have Nico Hischier here with a 41-point pace. Okay, cool. Half a point a game guy. He only played 16 games this year. I get that. But he would have been on pace for 30 goals. Dude, Captain Nico Hischier over here getting it done and putting the puck in the net. Again, this is where the disclaimer comes in, because he's only played 16 games this season and he's got 6 goals. It's a very good number, statistically speaking, goal per game-wise, but the sample size is small. You have some other guys over here. Miles Wood would be on pace for 40 points. He's got 51 games. Ty Smith, as a rookie, 40 points as well. Then you have PK Subban over here on pace for 35 points. Talk about a somewhat revival-like season for PK Subban. Is he worth the contract? Absolutely not. But PK is better this year than he was last year. Obviously, we know he's been battling with the thing, which is why he's been sidelined as well. We've had the entire outbreak affect the New Jersey Devils in a way that was just so severe. So the fact is, these game played numbers are all over the place. So again, there's another reason as to why this entire calculation should not be taken as gospel. But because we're going over the hypotheticals here, I just thought it would be cool to just highlight how deep this team really is. Take a look at this. If you do the math for all the New Jersey Devils, if you assume they're all going to be healthy, and if you assume they all play 82 games, you have yourselves 11 guys with 40-plus points. Now, you only have 2 guys who have broken 50. Those guys are at 56 points each. But 11 total players out of however many on the squad reaching 40 points, reaching half a point a game over 82 games played. Dude, that is crazy. Just for reference, let's take a look at the best team the NHL has seen in a very long time, the 2019 Tampa Bay Lightning. This was the team that had that crazy Kucherov year. He had 128 points, and then they lost in the first round to the Blue Jackets. This Lightning squad, with the majority of the guys playing 80, 82, 79 games, this squad only had 9 players reach 40 points. They had 10 to reach 39, but that's kind of the cutoff there. 9 guys at 40 points. Of course, you had one at 128, another one at 98, and another one at 92, but that's kind of the scale as to how many good, solid pieces a team that is in a good standing will have. And in fact, look at the goals here for the Devils as well. You have a 24-goal scorer in Pavel Zacha, 25 in Sharangovich, 27 in Miles Wood, and 31 in Nico Hischier. You also have 15 goals in Maltsev, of all people. Michael McLeod, actually the guy with the most penalty minutes on the squad, by the way, with 14 goals on the year if it was multiplied out to 82 games as well. This is a deep, deep team. And I'm just kind of sitting here looking at the names, Zacha, Bratt, Hughes, you have Butcher, you have Hischier, you have Smith, you have even the other guys that we haven't talked about yet. Merkley, Bastian, McLeod. These guys are all young. They're probably going to get better in the next few years than they are today. I remember watching the highlights of Nylander, McLeod, and Bastian back with the Mississauga Steelheads in 2015-16. Taking a look at how they were ripping things up over there. So it's been really cool to me seeing the Devils doing their thing. And as a result, I'm starting to gain a bigger appreciation for everything that they've got going on here. Again, it's an abstract multiplication of 82 games for a team that had a whole bunch of guys infected with the thing, who had a whole bunch of injuries and all that occur to this roster. It's not the best situation in the world, but when you take a look at the individual statistics of the players involved, plain and simple, I like what I see. And so, if you're a Devils fan, talk to me in the comments what you think about this season. I know you guys have a bad record. You guys are just barely better than Buffalo, but just with all the youth you guys have, I think there's got to be some looking up here for sure, isn't there? Plus, the picks that you got from the Zajac Palmieri deal, Alexander Holtz on his way. You also have that Dawson Mercer that's been crazy good in the queue this year. Talk to me in the comments what you think. If you enjoyed this video. Scrolls99, and bye.